We're joined now at this fabulous party at Maxime's by none other than the lifestyles of the rich and famous, Robin Leach. Welcome.
Hi, Arlene.
When I say the lifestyles of the rich and famous, you really took something and made it into a whole lifestyle. However, it's not a lifestyle you were born into, but it's something, if anybody looks like they're having a fabulous time, it's you.
Well, I think, the magic of television dictates that people have got to have a good time watching it, so it better look as if I'm having a good time doing it. We, of course, know that more often than not, instead of drinking champagne, I'm in the edit bay at 2, 3 in the morning drinking cold coffee out of a styrofoam cup. And there's more time that we eat donuts at 5 a.m. than we eat caviar at 9 o'clock at night in the fancy places. But in the end, the hour that comes out on television looks like champagne and caviar all the time.
My goodness, Robin Leach, black coffee and donuts. I really thought it was champagne and caviar all the time.
We have to produce it, television. Television doesn't make itself.
But you know what? But I am having a good time. I mean, right now, when you're on television, it looks like you're really enjoying it. I know I'm enjoying it.
We have to make it look as if we're enjoying it. But, it's not easy. It takes us about 3.5 weeks. 25 days is the average time to shoot, edit, write, track, score 1 hour of television. And I have a staff of 280 people, all of whom have to be paid every Friday. And, it takes a lot of work to do that.
It was your idea. You were working on Entertainment Tonight, I understand, and felt that, hey, here we are in all these wonderful places, and we don't get to see how the people live. We just get to see the people. How did you convince them? A lot of money, your show.
Well, fortunately, I've been involved in show business for something like about 25 years. So when we started the show, and a lot of what you just said is correct, and a lot of the credit also goes to my partner, a gentleman called Al Massini, who's the president of Telerep. And I thought originally this would be the show that everybody would hate, and then become the show that everybody would love to hate, and then become the show that everybody would love. Fortunately, everybody loved it right from the beginning, including the people that we thought we would have a lot of resistance from.
For instance?
Well, the stars. I mean, we do live in a crazy world, and these are crazy times, and privacy and security are very important. But because I've been in show business for 25 years, people do trust me. So at the very beginning, when we did the first 2-hour specials back in 1983, I called in a lot of markers, and I curried favors with a lot of friends and said, please. And because the first 2-hour specials were so successful, everybody realized that we were not out to lampoon or pillar the rich and the famous, and we weren't giving away route maps to people's homes, and we weren't providing ways to beat the home security system. So everybody then realized that, hey, this was all right television, and they would do it.
Interesting, when you talk about trust, you have really been a phenomenon for a number of reasons. Not only because you take us into Cher's shoe closet and somebody's bathroom and Elizabeth Taylor and all the people's homes, but because you once worked for The Star,
right?
A gossip magazine.
That sounds as if there is something wrong with The Star.
No, it's not.
I know what you're saying.
It had that kind of image. I mean, most of the stars.
To this day, it still does. But of all of the tabloids, The Star is the most legitimate. The Star is the most respected and the most loved within the show business community. It's owned by Rupert Murdoch, who now owns Fox Television. So he is a man that understands all that there is about show business. My rule in life, even when I was doing the show business column for The Star, was that you can be sensational without being scandalous. There is a fine line. So long as you sort of observe the 3 rules, which is don't penalize somebody's future work, don't hurt them in the pocketbook, don't hurt their future earnings, you can still be sensational without being scandalous. You can only burn a bridge once and never cross back over it. So if I had burned bridges with Cher, I would never have been allowed to film her house, let alone her closet. And yet I can't tell you how many times we've had Cher on the front cover of The Star with sensational stories.
Well, but more sensational that you were able to do that. Because just the fact of having worked...
I look at it as just a job, It's just a job. Somebody's got to do it.
But a good job. You travel 250,000 miles
Yeah, I did.
a year.
But is it a good job? I was only home 18 days last year. The rest of the time, I was living out of a suitcase. That's a little tiring.
Yeah, it's tiring.
It's also not easy to have a home life. You get very confused about where your life exists. It becomes rather lonely because they are long, late nights on the road. Most of the time we travel through the night so that we arrive the next day to continue shooting. And we shoot year-round, and we edit year-round. So I could spend, as I've just spent, in fact, I arrived, tonight is Sunday. While we're taping this, I arrived back in New York Friday evening, which was the end of a 3-week stint of being on the road. I went to Dayton, Ohio on yesterday, Saturday, to promote our shows, and tomorrow morning, Monday, I will start 3 weeks of editing, and then I will go out on the road again for another 3 weeks.
Where have you been?
This time I was in, listen to this for a schedule, I was in Toronto, Mexico, Rome, London, Los Angeles, and the Bahamas. But let me give you an idea of what schedules are like. On a Wednesday morning, I flew from New York City down to the Bahamas. On a Wednesday afternoon, I flew from the Bahamas to Miami. I caught the overnight flight from Miami to London. I did a shoot in London, and I flew down that evening from London to Rome. I had dinner with Sophia Loren that evening, Thursday night. This is the day after, Wednesday in the Bahamas. To discuss the shoot that we were doing all day with her on the Friday. And when it ended on the Friday evening, I caught the last flight out of Rome to Los Angeles, and I was in Los Angeles on Friday night. Now you tell me how many people could do all of that filming between a Wednesday and a Friday night and still
Incredible,
feel
but a lot
healthy.
of people would think that just having dinner with Sophia Loren would have made the whole thing worth it.
Well, she's a lovely lady, I'll grant you that. But,
Okay, no, I agree.
it's
a
all very
horrendous
high
effort.
pressure. It's all done based on complete faith in airlines, not running late. So it gets a little hairy, you know.
Okay.
People think it just looks glamorous, but it takes an army to organize it.
Yeah, but it does look glamorous. And I kind of think, you know, when you talk about your champagne wishes and caviar dreams and whatever, I think of where you were brought up. In London, your father was a factory worker. Not on
champagne and not on caviar.
How do you contrast that life with the life you lead now?
Well, I'm glad that I was brought up the way that I was brought up, which means that, you know, money did have value to it, and hard work had a value to it. And my father is a very kind, church-going individual, so he instilled in me some very fine morals. I'm not interested in making lots of money. I would not want to be rich. Fame, I think, is fleeting anyway. But I think there comes a point when, you know, if you make a comfortable living, you don't need to go on playing the game of real-life Monopoly.
Why don't you want to be rich?
Because I think rich brings with it a whole series of terrible responsibilities. I mean, bad enough I have a staff of 250 in the office. The last thing in the world I would want is 250 maids, butlers, and chauffeurs running around in a 30-room mansion. I wouldn't want that. You know, life is to be enjoyed. And you know, I remember when we interviewed Adnan Khashoggi, and I saw these houses and all these staffs and everything, and I said to him, when you get out of the bed in the morning and your feet hit the deck, I said, how much money have you got to earn to pay for that day's running of your life? $2 million. It's just to pay for the personal side of his life.
A day?
A day. So that's rich, right?
Well, that's more than rich.
Well,
I mean,
but
that's extraordinary.
That's what we do on lifestyles. So I would never want
extraordinary.
any of that.
Yeah. Well, you seem to have a wonderful life now, I must say. And interesting, you're with a very beautiful woman now. And aside, I noticed that before you sat down here to talk to me, you made sure that she was taken care of.
I'm an English gentleman. And I'm in love, so what can I tell
Oh,
you?
that's wonderful. Well, I thank you. It's in the midst
nice
of the
talking with
party, and I really thank you for taking the time
Pleasure.
to talk to
Have
me.
a nice evening.
I hope we can do this again.
We will.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Hi. Thank you. Please stay with us. We'll be back with lots more from this fabulous party here at Maxine's for City Meals on Wheels.